Are you a woman over the age of 35, dreaming of love, marriage, and motherhood, but the wait has been longer than you expected? Welcome to the While I Wait podcast. I'm your host, Pt1, and together we'll learn how to embrace this unique chapter of life. We'll transform this season of waiting into a journey of self-discovery, joy, and preparation to help us live fully now while preparing for the life and love we desire. So let's dive in. There's so much to do while we wait. Hello and welcome to While I Wait podcast. It's good to see you all. You can actually see me this time. This is our first video recording, so this is new for me. This is, again, showing you the process and the growth of this podcast. And helping me grow in this is my dear friend, Japonica Bryant.
Hey, y'all.
We've been friends for a while. She's also a therapist. And so I figured it would be great to have someone, I'm comfortable with talking to and sharing this journey with, but also can give us some insight into some of the things we're going to talk about today. So we'll just go ahead and dive in. How are you today?
You know, I'm ready to do this. So I'm excited. I'm so proud of my friend. I just want to say that.
Oh, thanks, dear. So today we're just discussing debunking the myths about singleness. And so when I mentioned that to you, there was anything that came to mind immediately, like that myths about being single.
People feel like if they're not married, they're inadequate or something's missing. So absolutely. I feel like single people have all of these things that we are constantly, not only that we think about ourselves, but that the world thinks about us. Yeah. And then we take in all of these things. So absolutely.
In my research for this podcast, I was looking up different things and I found several articles about different myths about being single. And one of the quotes that I found was, "A myth is just a myth." Well, that is until you start to believe it's true. And I think that's the part about myths that as a single woman, like, it's not a myth. You believe that is who you are. That's your identity. That's exactly what people are saying is what your case is, but it's not. And so as I read these, I was like, nope, that ain't me. Nope, that ain't me. But I do remember a time when I did believe it was me. I did believe I was selfish. I did believe I was lonely. I was incompatible. So I look forward to going through these and we can share what you want to or not want to. We're going to go from there. So this is so crazy. But I'm excited to do this.
It's crazy good.
It's crazy good.
Y'all ready?
Ready.
Okay.
So let me back up a little bit. This whole podcast came into light because I just ended a long-term relationship, and I was going through that part of, the world tells you you're supposed to be sad and moping and groping for a while. I just didn't want to be. I just didn't want to be mad at him. I didn't want to be in this funk for a while. I just wanted to move past it. Not ignore what happened, not ignore what the situation was, but I just wanted to, it's okay. Like it happened, there were lessons learned. I grew and I just I wanted to get past it. Yeah. And so it took me on this whole train of things that I can do. And, while we're waiting, we're waiting for my husband to find me. That was one shift because at first, I don't know about y'all, but I was looking for my husband. Yeah. And then you learn according to the Bible, they're supposed to be looking for his wife. The husband's looking for his wife. So that was one revelation. And then when you sit back and you're like, I'm waiting for my husband, it became this sedentary, like, I'm going to sit at home and wait for him to knock on our door.
Just chilling.
And that ain't going to happen. That's not how that works.
No.
And so then I learned from Pastor Horn, like I mentioned in the last episode, like waiting was active, waiting was proactive, waiting was preparing, waiting had its own season in itself. So what are you doing in this season? And now I didn't wait until I didn't have a boyfriend to do these things. I was doing it prior to, but I didn't know I was doing that. And so that's what started it. It was just, while I have this time on my hands, while I have this season where it is just me, I'm going to go travel. Yeah. I'm going to go see, do, be, because I have done for so many years, not those things. I missed so many opportunities or so many things that I wanted to do and didn't get to do. So now I'm going to take this time. I'm going to go see the world. And Japonica knows.
Now, Courtney, she be seeing and doing all the things, okay? So
I was like, where you at? My dad got to the point where he would call me like, where you at? What you mean? He's like, I know you ain't at home. Where you at? Oh, I'm in Miami. Oh,
I'm looking at Courtney's location. She's all over. I'm like,
I'm here. But it was just like, why not? Like when I have children, when you get to that season, I'm not saying it has to stop altogether,
Yeah.
but it will be. It'll be
down.
different.
Absolutely.
It'll be a big difference. And so I don't mind doing it. I had to stop saying I'm waiting for my husband to do all these things with, and just say I'm gonna do it by myself one time, a few times, and then see what it's like to have it with somebody. It'll be a totally different experience when you have somebody to share it with.
I remember when I bought my house, because for you to say that, you know, at first I was thinking like, I'll just wait to buy a house when I get married, because maybe I'll meet my husband, he'll have a house. I mean, I bought my house in 2020. So like at this point, I would have been waiting forever to like have bought a house.
Right.
And so when I bought my house, I think it was like, you can do stuff. Like you can live your life. You can make purchases. You can meet people. You can have a life. Like you don't have to sit at home waiting for your spouse to show up. So
exactly. So there in that there are things that people would say to me about being single, and I'm like, that's not true. That's not right.
Yeah.
One of the craziest stories, I don't know if I should share it or not, but I'm gonna share it anyway because that's what I do. Is I was getting a wax, and the lady who was waxing me just all of a sudden said, "You know, you have a boyfriend?" And I'm like,
because you can't get waxes unless you got a man.
I mean, I was like, no, this is kind of like a gynecologist moment. You know, I'm just going, let me, if you want some frame of reference, it's like went to the gynecologist. And I was like, no. She's like, what are you waiting on? I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. She's like, you know, your eggs don't last forever. Like, they're going to start. And in that moment, I just said, can you not worry about my eggs right now? There are other things that we should be both focusing on right now, not necessarily my eggs. And I can't tell you how many times my eggs have come up in conversation. It's like, can we not talk about my eggs? Can we just leave them where they are? There.
To be honest, like everybody's talking about this biological clock. I have yet to see it. Like I don't know where it is on my body. I've never seen the clock, so I don't know if.
I just feel like that was one of the many areas in modern medicine that hasn't been developed. Like that was something that was said decades ago, and no one has studied about it because we just believe that it's true. Yeah. I'm not saying that there aren't things that happen, that things haven't changed, that things can't happen, but I'm just saying I just choose to believe it's not true. And
I mean, my hairstylist found out she was pregnant, and she was in her 40s, and you know the stuff that they tell her, she had a beautiful, healthy baby, beautiful, healthy pregnancy.
Yeah,
and it was amazing. So it's like you are limited by what other people say. If you allow that to limit you, you're only limited if you allow that.
Exactly. So. And so looking at some of these lists of myths, one of them I will say is you'll never be complete until you find your partner in life. And one of the things that I hear so many different messages, and sometimes Instagram is a messenger of itself, but it says the two shall become one. You're not incomplete. You should be a whole person before you find your husband. And so you should be a whole person now.
The two shall become one flesh.
Exactly.
Not the two halves.
Right. Exactly. So it's not that I'm half until I find my other piece and now we become one and we're whole. It's like I am an entire whole individual person.
A whole being.
I'm a whole entire being. The Lord gives me thoughts and ideas and desires. And like I have all of those in me. My husband has all those in him. And the miracle is that my one and his one come together to be one and not two. That's the miracle. So you're not missing anything. You're not incomplete, I should say, because you don't have your husband. Like you can be in a complete whole person with or without a partner.
Yes. While you were saying that, I started thinking about maybe that's the reason why people believe that they have to date so many different people, because they like if we date this many people, they all have this different thing. You come together, it's like one complete person. But really, it's like segments of people, meaning that they're not whole. And so maybe, like, if you feel like you have to date all these people in order to get one complete package, there's something maybe about you that's not whole, but also about these people that you're dating that's not a whole person.
I see it opposite. I see the more people I'm giving a piece of myself to, you know, not even including the world of sex into this, but like literally, like I give you a piece of my heart and embrace and take it back. There's every time I go to the next person, I feel like you can, not that it has to happen, but you can like be a little bit more broken. This person rejected me. You know, this person didn't like the way I laughed. This person didn't like, so you carry all these things back and take it to your husband or whomever you're going to. And it's like, you're not sure who you are. I'm not saying not to date by any means, but I think that's an important part of it, or it's not biblical, but that's a whole other story. But I just think that, you know, we got to look into that. So another myth that, you know, I've heard is that to be single is to be a selfish person. And Pastor Horn, y'all gonna hear Pastor Horn all day long, so just get over it. That's where I get my word. That's how I get fed. Just don't worry about it. But he used to always say, single people are some of the most selfish people
Mm-hmm.
And that grieved my heart. Like, what you mean, Pastor Horn? Like, I'm not selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a selfish person. He would say it over and over again. I'm like, now I agree with a lot of things he says. I just do not agree.
Because I ain't selfish.
Because I'm selfish. I'm not selfish. But then one day, I remember eating a bowl of cereal for dinner. I'm like, sure, that's it. I don't have to worry about nobody. Like, and I think that's when it clicked for me. Like, it's not that I'm a selfish person, but I only have to think about myself.
Yeah.
I only have to defend for myself. Like, if I want to eat a bowl of cereal for dinner,
I eat a bowl
of cereal for dinner, and that's it. If I had a husband, if I had kids, it's probably not going to be suitable.
No.
You know?
I told you earlier, like, you'll be eating Wendy's in your car. Trying to hide it from the kids.
And still have to come out and then go in the house and cook dinner.
Yes.
So if I don't feel like cooking right now, I don't have to cook.
Yeah.
Because it's only me. So it's not that I was a selfish person and that was a characteristic of who I was, but I just didn't have to consider other people.
I think when I think about that, like, we don't have to use our singleness being worried about every little person's needs, especially if they're going to like contradict what we need.
Right.
Like, we're not taking care of ourselves because we're so worried about every Tom, Dick, and Harry or every person and not considering ourselves. So you do get to consider yourself. And I don't think we do that enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this season also allows us you have a chance to really think about what it means to add other people to your life. Like, how will my life change when you add another, for me, a man into the life? Like, you know, I don't mind going to sleep with dishes in the sink. But I know people who are like, oh, the kitchen got to be clean before I go to bed. Who's going to clean it? Oh, I got to clean that? Or who?
It's going to wait till tomorrow.
And not if it's me, but you know, like, and I don't have to even consider it. You know, I can get focused in on one project and go in and ignore the rest of the house. And my one spot is what I'm focused on. I'm working on this project. I'm getting it done. Laundry's not being done. Dishes aren't being washed. Eating out every day. Nobody knows but me because there's no one else there. But if another person that need to come home to a clean house, need to come home to somewhere where that feels like a home, I got to consider that. You know.
Yeah. I think now is a time where you get to consider yourself more. And then you will have time to, when you get married, to be considerate of like your family and your children and all the things. But I don't think you have to give up considering yourself right now because you are single.
Exactly.
Think about yourself.
Yeah. This next myth is kind of one of my favorites to debunk because I want to believe that my life is a living testament and it's a debunker.
I want to, before we do that, because we're always like so considerate of other people, we don't take the time necessary to heal ourselves, to consider what we need spiritually, mentally, emotionally, like, because we're all worried about all these other things that really don't matter right now.
Yeah.
And so it takes away from our growth when we don't. So selfishness in your singleness can be like a part of the growth process.
Yeah. I think that's, you go from, and at least in our society, you know, you're taken care of by your parents. You grow up into these teen years. A lot of people are growing up thinking whatever people think about you. And for me, I remember 26, 27. I remember literally like waking up, or not literally waking up, but like the light bulb went off. Like, I don't care what other people think about me.
Because it's not that important in the grand scheme of things.
I really want to do what I want to do because I want to do it. At that time, I was single by myself. It was like, wait, why do I care what somebody else thinks about me?
Why is it important?
Why is that important? And that was the most freeing thing, is to realize I'm going to do things because Courtney wants to do it. Courtney's going to not do things because Courtney doesn't want to do them. Yeah. I'm not going to go places because I don't want to go.
To your point, that doesn't mean that we get to treat people any kind of way.
No. Absolutely not.
I tell people all the time, like, we are responsible to other people.
Absolutely.
We're not responsible for them.
Come on,
and
say
so
it again.
That means that as long as, if I'm communicating how I feel about something, or I'm telling you that I don't want to do something, as long as I'm communicating to you in a respectful manner, saying things that are kind, talking to you the way that I want to be talked to, I'm not responsible for you. I'm responsible to you, in that I get to tell you how I feel and communicate. And then how you respond to that is not my responsibility.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm not responsible for you.
Because so often we get so lost into and caught up in what, oh, well, she's going to feel. Oh, he's going to feel. Oh, they're going to think.
They're going to think anyway.
Meanwhile, you're there and you don't want to be there.
Yep. You mad in the corner.
Right. Now you little stank over there.
Yeah. And everybody talking about you now for real.
Right. Got a little stank face on. Like, come on, no. You have to.
I'm not responsible for you.
Yeah. I thought about this past Christmas. I did a chemical peel, so I was peeling very much, so I didn't go anywhere. But I was so grateful because like I don't have to go anywhere, and I wasn't going to do it even without the chemical peel. But now I had an excuse. But like I didn't plan on going anywhere. I didn't want to. I didn't plan on doing anything. And I came back and I was somewhere, and they were talking about how busy and exhausting it was, and how much more this Christmas season is just more about doing and going and singing and giving it. And I'm like, but is that fun? Like, what is that? If you don't enjoy it, if you don't want to do it, why are we doing it? Why are we doing that?
It's not adding to you.
It's not. You came back the new year exhausted. And I was so glad when I realized like I'm going to go into the new year for once in my life. I'm not going into the new year tired. I came back, I went back to work and they're like, how was your break? It was fantastic. I am well rested. I did what I wanted to do, which was very little.
Yeah.
And which I did do, I enjoyed doing.
Do you feel like that has positioned you to do all the things now, like start the podcast and do all the things? Like you've had the freedom to do that because you took care of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't function well when I'm tired. I can't hear clearly. I can't see clearly. Everything is everything that's bad is it's enlarged and inflamed. It's like literally a fire. Like, and it's like you think about it later. It's like, you know, that really wasn't that bad. That wasn't so bad. But in the moment, because I'm tired, I'm like this, like Betty White with a Snicker bar. Like, just give her a nap. And that's literally my natural reset. When things get too much, and there's too much going on, I need a nap.
I was gonna make a shirt, and I probably shouldn't say this aloud, but whatever. It was gonna say, "I live for Jesus and naps."
Yes,
that's it.
Because a nap does the body good. It used to be milk, but now it's a nap.
We're gonna switch it out. A nap does the body good, not milk. Okay,
because for me, then I wake up with clarity. And even in that wake up season, like when you're waking up, I'm like, okay, get myself together. We can do this. What needs to be done first? What needs to be done? Because in a minute, everything's on fire. I'm just in a circle of fire, and I just can't. Like, help me! I don't know what to do. But a nap does the body good for me. That helps me a lot. So
it's okay to be selfish.
It's okay. All that to say, you can say no. No, you can say no, and no is a complete sentence.
Complete. N-O, period.
I was gonna go to another one, but on that note, I think that people also think that singles have a lot of time and a whole lot of extra money. And that's also not true. That just came to me right now. Because I can't tell you how people, well, you should do this and this and this and this, because you're probably just sitting at home doing nothing. Nah, sorry. If I am sitting at home doing nothing, I am enjoying sitting at home
and guess
doing
what?
nothing.
Doing nothing is my business.
It's my business, Auntie Tab. That's
and
my business.
If I'm busy sitting on the couch, then I'm busy sitting on the couch.
Put it on the calendar. It's an appointment. And there's nothing wrong with that. I can't tell you how many people are just like, oh man, like I'm gonna give you this project because you have nothing to do. My schedule is more busy, probably as busy.
Person, absolutely.
Because people so often think like, you can going home to see family. That's the whole like you got to travel to go see them. Like,
and then don't talk about having your parents in 2 different states. Like, I don't have time. To be taking care of other stuff, like, and that's not selfish.
It's not. But it requires you to put boundaries up, because otherwise people will drag you into all of their hoopla, and it seems to be normal, but it's really not normal. It's not. I mean, it is normal, but it's not. It doesn't have to be your truth. It doesn't have to be what you do. So,
and we're gonna keep doing this, but like to that point, it's like one thing that I've learned in my own therapy is sitting with the feeling of guilt, like. When you put up boundaries, when you say no, you're gonna feel guilty, and you can increase your tolerance for guilt by just sitting with it, and it'll be okay. It'll pass.
I try to do like a bargain thing, which is I don't know if that's healthy or not, but like I'm not gonna come to this event, but I promise I'm gonna come to something. This is just not the one for me, or I'm tired, or I have something else to do. And especially if I have a relationship with that person, typically that person understands.
Yeah, you should.
If they really love you and the person you are, and they understand you, they're going to understand. And I do hold my word. I do keep my word. I do eventually go to something else, but you don't have to go to every single thing.
No,
it's not for me. I can't. I choose not to. Not that I can't. I choose not to.
You know what I kept saying last year? Well, it was in 2023, going into 24. I was like, I don't want to do the most this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to do the least.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do the least. Like, I want to chill. I want to enjoy the year. I want to enjoy my time. Like, I don't want to do the most. I'm not saying yes to any and every obligation.
Yeah.
And so now I'm a little bit more slow
Mm-hmm.
to commit to something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to tell people.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm. As long as you get back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Be respectful. Like you said, be
Yep.
respectful.
Yep.
If you say you're going to get back to them, get back to them. But it can be with a no.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
If you have a problem saying no right now, just say, I'm going to get back to you.
A little tip. The last 2 years, 2020, was 2023, 2025, 2023 and 2024. 2023 was the first year I said I was going to go even further in my singleness and taking it as an opportunity. And that was the first year I said I'm going somewhere every month. And baby, in 2023,
you were traveling a lot.
I was in these streets.
Yeah.
And not in the streets in that way, but I was just
not like these other folks be out in the street.
And byways, airways and trailways. I was out and I enjoyed it though. It brought me so much life. It brought me so much creativity. It reminds you that there's so much more to the world. And I guess that can be off of this myth is that single people's lives are boring. Single people live boring lives. I had some of the most fun.
Yeah.
Whether I was traveling with someone, by myself, my mom, my dad even got into travel with me. My sister went into the military, and so we would follow her around. That everything became a trip.
Yeah.
Conferences became a trip. It became an opportunity to take some time to explore. I love exploring through food because I just feel like you have to taste all the different cultures and cities and stuff. But seeing there, where there's history museums or art or just walking around. I like to try. I like going to places multiple times. One time I'll go as a tourist. Like I want to ride the big red bus. I want to see all the landmarks. And then I go back as a local, and I look on TikTok or wherever, and I find how do locals live? Where do they eat? What do they do?
Where do they go?
Where do they go? I did that for 23 and 24. And as I got to the end of 2024, I realized I was like, okay, I didn't know why at the time just yet, but I realized like, okay, I've enjoyed this, but now I want to slow down. Now I don't want to go so far. Because one thing about travel, as much fun as it is, with a full-time job, that laundry sits there until you get back. And you have more when you get back as well. Traveling itself, like getting on airplanes and layovers and flights and all the things that go with it. Like this is physically taxing. Even if you do nothing but travel for a day, it's still physically taxing and it's tired. And then I would leave there, get off of the airplane. I would literally sometimes get off an airplane, go straight into work. That's exhausting. And while I enjoyed it, I knew that season had not come to a complete end, but I was slowing down this year. And now I have a whole nother endeavor I'm endeavoring. I'm going into with this podcast. So,
but you're here.
But I am here. But boring is by far not what it is.
No.
Even like at work, as a full-time job, I volunteer with multiple boards. I'm on at least 5 or 6 different boards, and they all have their different agendas. And they're like, "Oh, you're the single one. Certainly, you can handle." And even there, having to draw boundaries there, like no. And my new thing this year is I'm gonna stop being on boards where I do the same thing that I do at work because it's exhausting. Like I do this every day. I don't want to. So I'm sure
you don't have to use up. Like people feel like they have to spend all their money. They don't have a savings. You don't have to spend all your time. Like you don't have to spend all your time doing stuff. Like you are a human being. You get to be. You get to enjoy. Like you get to lay on the couch. Like you don't have to spend all your currency of time doing stuff.
I like that. The currency of time.
Like you don't.
So chew on that one, friend.
Y'all, you literally get to figure out how you want to do singleness. And whatever you give out, that's what you're gonna like. Whatever you put out, whatever you put into this singleness time, that's what you're gonna get out of it. So it can be boring for you. That's what you give it. So
the currency of time. I like that.
You don't gotta spend your time up like that.
Yeah. Especially if you don't find joy in that.
Because you can get more money.
Say it.
You can get more money.
Yeah.
You can't get more time.
You're right.
So what am I gonna do with this 24 hours?
Come on, friend.
Preach.
Another myth. There must be something wrong with you. Oh, baby, y'all know this is episode 3. I came from the jump saying There is nothing wrong with you.
Nothing wrong with
There's
you,
nothing
sweetheart.
wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. My friend is single too. There is nothing wrong with
Ain't
her.
nothing wrong with me.
And don't let people tell you that something is wrong with you. Don't let, in our case, don't let men. You single? Why are you single? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, so no, I hate that.
I think the church doesn't. I'm not, people bashing people for talking about the church, but the church hasn't done a good job of like helping single people to understand that they are not inadequate, that there's nothing wrong with them. I can remember sitting in, I'm not gonna say the name of church, but sitting in prayer at 21 days that they had, and the pastor gets up at the end of prayer and he's like, everybody who like join hands with your husband, your children, and all of that. And I'm standing there like, what am I supposed to do? And it made me very much aware that I was in here by myself. And I don't feel like church is the place for that. I feel like it's supposed to be inclusive and of like single people, married people, make you feel like you're not alone in this thing. Because the truth of the matter is there are people out there who don't want to be married.
Yeah.
And so, like, what does that say to them? Exactly. Like, we have that desire, but like, there's nothing wrong with you. I don't think the church has done a good job of like helping single people feel included.
Right. The first time I really would always shun or run away from single group or marriage groups. They're like, oh, singles are invited. I'm like, no, we're really not. We're really not invited. We can be there, but your activities, your wording, your messaging is not inclusive of.
No.
It's always a single longing and desiring for what they don't have right now. And I even being a part of single groups, the single groups always, oh, we're single today and we're just looking and longing to be married. And for the first time I ever experienced a marriage group that didn't do that was, you guessed it, Recreation Church with Pastor Ward.
I had so much fun when we went that year.
We went to a marriage conference, and for one, they value singles.
Yeah.
And I always thought, and sometimes you think things and you think you're crazy because no one else is saying it, but I always was like, why do y'all wait till you're married to have marriage counsel, like marriage conferences or marriage seminars or marriage counseling? You're engaged.
Yeah.
I love this man. He loves me. And now y'all gonna tell me to ask the hard questions?
No.
Why would I wait? Like, am I gonna be honest? We done bought the cake. We reserved the venue. The dress is in my closet. And now we're gonna come to see like, but how many children do you want? How often would you plan on having sex? You're gonna ask these tough questions. It's like,
but we're engaged
all the time. You're gonna do it all the time. Like, it's not honest. So why not teach me as I'm single? Why not now talk about the things I should be looking for, or he should be looking for in me before we ever get to that part? So you're not even wasting your time with dating multiple people because you think you're supposed to, or you're trying to figure out through experience. I don't think I learned everything through experience.
No.
And that marriage conference was the first time where we were talked to as singles about, okay, you are honestly in the best position.
Yes.
You are honestly, we wish we had this before we got married.
We're a prime candidate.
This marriage conference it's not only for us, but dang, like, y'all are in the best position.
Yeah. Take
advantage of it. Learn what we're trying to figure out now that we're in this thing.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure it out and make it work. You're going to learn this before you ever even have anybody. How awesome is that? What? And I was just like, and we went with the married friend, and we each all got different things, something great. It was motivating for her as a married woman. It was motivating for us as single women. And it was really genuinely, truly inclusive. And to me, that's the bar. Like, I ain't seen nobody else do it since. And no harm, no shade to any other body, but I just haven't. And I honestly haven't given anybody a chance.
That's fair.
I honestly don't even try to listen to other marriage groups because I'm just like, I have a feeling you're not going to include me.
Yeah.
You're going to look at me only as a single person trying to become a wife.
Yeah.
And while, yes, that is my heart and that is my desire, but that is not all of who I am. And there is so much life to live now in this season. I won't get, you know how many things I've thought of that I won't be able to do, or it will be different doing once I have a family?
Yeah.
Let's start with that bowl of cereal for dinner. That's going to be totally different.
No cereal.
Right.
Or maybe that's what you do with your family.
Or even how often I have to, I'm talking about for me, like Courtney.
Yeah.
Like, I can cook something on Sunday and I'm going to eat it for the rest of the week, period. It lasts that long because guess what? It's just me. Then you start adding 2 and 3 of them. I said I want 4 kids. You had all these mouths to feed. By Tuesday, Aaron look at you like, now what we gonna do? No. So, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. There's genuinely nothing wrong with you, and find people who can speak life into you as to who you are. Yeah. Because as we said before, we're not incomplete waiting for someone to come and complete us. You're a complete person now. So live like it, act like it, talk like it.
Wow, what a conversation. I'm so glad Japonica was able to join us on the show. And that was just half of the conversation. So be sure to join us for the next episode where we dive into part 2 of debunking myths about singleness. There's one thing I want to clarify in this episode about women's health and reproductive opportunities. While I understand there have been lots of advances in medicine in recent decades, I believe that when it comes to women's health and women's body, and especially the reproductive system, that not as many advances have been made. The world says because I'm over the age of 35 that when I get pregnant, I will have a geriatric pregnancy. It says the chances of me getting pregnant are smaller and the chances of me having complications in my pregnancy are higher. I understand what the world says. However, I don't necessarily believe that to be the case for me. I believe the Lord knew my entire story before I was ever born. He wrote it from beginning to end before I ever entered my mother's womb. And so I genuinely believe that my being over the age of 35 is not a problem that he can't solve. It's not an issue that's too big for him. So while I understand what the world says, I do believe that when it's my turn to have children, that I'll be able to do so and be able to be safe for both mother and child. Now, once again, I understand I do have a role to play, and it's more important now than ever for me to take care of my body, to make sure that I'm eating right, to make sure I'm exercising, to make sure I'm putting in good and removing that which is bad. And so that's my part to play in this. So while I'm waiting for my husband, I'm waiting for the opportunity to become a mother, I'm taking the best care of my body that I can now. You can now watch this episode and all episodes of While I Wait on YouTube at While I Wait Podcast. You can also listen to the audio versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeart. Also, follow us on social media on Facebook and on Instagram at While I Wait Podcast. Be sure to learn more about today's guest, Japonica Bryant. She's the CEO and owner of Camellia Monet Professional Services. You can give her a call at 251-405-8300, or you can email her at counseling@camelliamonet.com. Stay tuned for the next episode where we dive into more myths about singleness, and Japonica asked me a few questions about my singlehood journey. New episodes drop at 6 p.m. on every first and third Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is Courtney Steele signing off. Until next time, keep thriving.